It's all happened here. Everything we've ever known, done, loved, took place on this drifting, spinning ball that's our home. It's where we learned to provide, nurture, protect, thrive. And yet,
wildfires are scorching the West Coast, leaving behind a path of death and destruction.
Inches of rain this morning.
The waters keep rising, and according to the National Weather Service,
our very success now threatens our future. Today, our greatest challenge is to learn how to grow while sustaining what sustains us. Your understanding, your science, your work are the solution. You have the power to see patterns and relationships and show us how everything and everyone are connected. You have the power to transform how we produce and consume, build and maintain, unite and strengthen, heal and nurture. You can help us see that we can no longer live apart from nature, but must live as part of it. Today, geography matters more than ever. The geographic approach, your work, and the billions of maps you make are essential for creating a more sustainable future.
Good afternoon all. Welcome you all to the inauguration ceremony of Pre-Geo Week workshop. As you all know, the Faculty of Geomatics will be celebrating its 25th birthday on November 27th, 2022, and we are planning to have a year-long line of activities from year 2021 to 2022 to commemorate this event. GeoWeek 2021 is our first event which will later become an annual activity on the calendar of the Faculty of Geomatics. The purpose of GeoWeek 2021 is to strengthen the relationships between industry and academia. The first Pre-GeoWeek workshop will commence today under the title of Getting to Know Arcgis Online Tools and App. We conduct the Pre-Geo Week workshop in collaboration with GIS Solutions Private Limited, who is the ESRI authorized distributors in Sri Lanka and Faculty of Geomatics. To commence our virtual program, I cordially invite Mr. P.G. Vipula Aberatna, Dean, Faculty of Geomatics, to welcome the gathering.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the first Pre-Geo Week workshop on getting to know ArcGIS online tools and apps. This is sponsored by GIS Solutions Private Limited, the ESRI authorized distributors in Sri Lanka. Uh, they are distributing ESRI products, one of leading market, the businesses in geospatial industry. First of all, I must be thankful to Dr. Saman Koswatha, who is going to conduct the workshop. This workshop is consisted with 3 sessions of 2 hours each. Probably the workshop is open for those who are interested commonly, and they will be talking about very modern applications and techniques in GIS operations. As we know, the geodata is currently at its highest demand. Everybody is asking geodata. Everybody knows GIS now. Most of people, they're speaking about GIS. It is, we can hear it from everywhere. From our point of view, what we think still is this capacity of this GIS technology is still is not operating at its highest capacity. We can use it for many more operations. The basic idea of this operation and this workshop is actually just to give you a glimpse of the potential that this GIS technology has. Everything is getting simple day by day. Previously, if we want to do a certain work, maybe in a smart way, so we need a computer to do that, maybe a laptop maybe. So now, most of things are limited maybe to Android or smartphones. So this is the technology that which is existed by now. So with the simplicity of the technology, not the technology, of course, the application of it, and it gives a opportunity to users to make their requirements very easily, especially the apps in Android environment. So everything is going to be made simple now. Under the same context, so GIS has one of its biggest components, especially in online applications. Now everybody is addicted to this online operations now. Of course, in the university, of course, we can't think of without being connected to the internet. Now it is almost looks impossible now. So we are very much contacted with this online operations, so internet connectivity. This connectivity actually made the world small. Maybe 3-4 decades back, of course, when we were young, we did not have this much of facilities, of course, to address the audience. Our audience was limited to, it was confined to a small room maybe. Perhaps, it can be broadcasted, that's all right. With the television and all, it can be telecasted, it's all right. But it was a bit expensive. So now, if somebody wants to address the entire world, it is also possible with very, very simple and with low budget solutions, low budget solutions. It is not a big deal now. So we can think that that opportunity to be used for, the betterment of the society and the environment. We can use many things. we can do many things with data. As surveyors, the Faculty of Geomatics offer degrees in surveying sciences. We have 5 specializations. Under whatever the specializations, we are actually providing data to the system. We are collecting positions. So this is the basic objective of surveying, defining positions in space. So after that, positions will make the picture later on. So with the development of this IT technology and maybe the computers and all, now everything is integrated into one system. So that system actually gives us many advantages. From data to information, that link is there. If somebody wants to make it meaningfully, right? So then of course, we need to know the system very correctly. I hope that this first GeoWeek workshop paves the way for having a good start for you all. So let me talk about the event GeoWeek. So GeoWeek 2021 is the first event of this nature, this kind, which is going to be conducted by the Faculty of Geomatics. This time, this is a remarkable year. We are commencing the 25th anniversary of the surveying education in Sri Lankan universities. So at present, we are the only university who offer degrees related to surveying sciences. And throughout the year, of course, we are going to have different events just to commemorate the 25th anniversary. So during the GeoWeek, so it contains a number of events, and the International Conference of Sabaragama University of Sri Lanka is also included as one of major events in the GeoWeek 2021. Other than that, of course, we have some discussion forums, panel discussions, and roundtable discussions regarding many interesting topics. So along with this, I invite you everybody to participate for our GeoWeek 2021 as well. So finally, I must be very much thankful to the chair of GeoWeek 2021, Dr. Sanka Pereira, the members of the committee, Dr. Anmali Bandara and Dr. Indika Pusella, for their effort they are providing to make this event success. So again, I'm thankful to GIS Solutions Private Limited, who is the ESRI authorized distributors in Sri Lanka, for giving your support to conduct the first pre-GeoWeek workshop at the Faculty of Geomatics. I wish you all for the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And next, I would like to invite Dr. Samat Koswatha, Head of the Department of Remote Sensing and GIS, to address the audience.
Thank you, Manmi. I hope you can hear me. And very good afternoon to you, everyone. As the coordinator of this workshop, I welcome you all, and I make this opportunity to talk to you all. First, a bit of GIS and also its education and the industry movements and maybe some research. I'll also make some comments on the future trends of GIS, both in local and global context. Truly, this should be a long discussion, but we have discussed this critically and lengthily in hours and days, and also we have to continue the same. But this the scope of this workshop is different, and I will quickly and briefly point out the key areas related to this topic. I hope today in this gathering there will be people who are having good knowledge and experience in the field of GIS, and there will be students and some people who join to see what is GIS is all about. So to make this fair for everyone and for setting the scene, I will talk a bit on what is GIS. Mainly we consider geographic information systems, or simply GIS, as a tool, not a general tool, but a remarkable tool which we can. Hello. Yes, it's a remarkable tool which we can use maybe for manipulating spatial data. Some people compare this to a Swiss Army knife. Technically, these Swiss Army knives can cut anything in the jungle. That is for the survival of the soldiers. Likewise, in the GIS can be applied almost in any field. It can answer any geographic questions like where is it, what is it, or what has changed, what patterns and relationships exist. And most interestingly, we can analyze what if scenarios. That is the most interesting part. Future trends we can analyze, we can take decisions based on unhappened things. The things are which are to be happen, which is great. So in that case, I would say this thing as a remarkable tool. We can do these things in different platforms. The main one is using the desktop computers. It is named as desktop GIS. Another one is mobile platforms, and that is people identify it as mobile GIS. The other platform, which is most famous these days, most popular these days, that is web platforms. Today, the main objective of this workshop is to make aware you all on different tools, techniques, and applications which we can use in online mode with the Esri software especially. And people named this as web GIS, web mapping, sometimes cyber GIS, internet GIS, and all these terms refer to the same. We have Mr. Supun and Ms. Samanmali as resource persons today, and both of them are well qualified and experienced GIS trainers. And I hope you all can learn a lot with them. All right. So if we focus back to my topic, when we are looking at the world in the geospatial point of view, we can see that a lot of countries get the full benefits of it. They successfully apply GIS for their development and planning work. They use it for local government and administration purposes, maybe disaster management, agriculture, medicine, engineering, and especially in business industry. We can continue this thing as a long list. But in our case, are we using this technology in that scale, in a way that they are using it? They are using this thing for their maybe improving existing systems, or maybe coming up with new approaches. Likewise, they use it in a large forms, large scales, but we are not. And the next question is, are we getting the full benefits of this GIS? For me, definitely not. So we have to carefully think where the problem is. Does this problem lies in GIS education or industry, or is it in research? For me, the issue is in all the areas. If we look at the GIS education and how the GIS is taught in Sri Lanka, we can see that the GIS is taught just as a course module in some cases, and mainly not as a full course. Sometimes we can see there are few diplomas, undergraduates, and graduate level programs maybe conducted by national or government or the private sector institutes. But these courses are not designed and well focused to get the full benefits of this GIS. They are rather designed to give an awareness for the GIS and not designed to make skilled professionals. That is what the industry needs. What I believe is these courses should be redesigned or sometimes realigned to match with this, the basic requirement, the industry's requirements, what they are looking at. We have to remodel the profiles. we are already have set. That is interesting. Or in other way around, what is required first to understand the countries, our own country or maybe other countries in the world context, this GIS professionals required skill set. That is important. Before designing all these courses, they may have think these things maybe years ago, but the case is very different now. So we have to match and realign this education, GIS education and everything to match with the current needs, especially with the future needs. And there is a gap. And recently we had a chance to interview a surveying professional who works for an Australian firm. And in that discussion, what he highlighted was the GIS industry in that country is changing in a way that they are looking at outsourcing majority of their GIS workflows. We know that the GIS, it needs some commitments, maybe long hours to work, maybe for processing. Sometimes you have to stay in front of machines for long hours. And they think that this is kind of wasting. And what they're expecting is time. This may be including data preparation, processing, because you know that these countries, the labor cost is very high. So they pay in hourly rate. If we spend minutes, hours, there is a cost for them. So through outsourcing this time consuming work, they can save huge amount of money, especially time. And they are trying to utilize these savings or the decision making, maybe understanding the available trends for the cases they are handling. So what is the message here for us? This opens up for us a huge market for countries like Sri Lanka, maybe other Asian, maybe other countries close by, where the labor cost is very cheap. So here what is lacking is preparing the workforce. Are we preparing a kind of workforce with our existing education systems? That is a problem. So on the other hand, our country is struggling a lot with the foreign currency. We are looking for foreign currency. Yeah, we need dollars. So I hope it will be a mechanism to make money, right? Because especially the problem, we can't think will end maybe in the next 2-3 years. It will be there for many years to come. So if we can tap this opportunity in a well-planned way, in a firm way, we will be there. We can have a lot of benefits. According to Mr. Prabhat, who we interviewed with, he says mostly the Indian people, they are mostly getting these contracts. But if we look at the education level, especially we discussed with Mr. Prabhat regarding who are taking these jobs special. So he said that mostly Indian people, they get these jobs with very limited education, with very limited experience. That is interesting. So if we try, that is a good area where we can get many benefits. If you look at the current GIS industry in Sri Lanka, we can see that there are many organizations, both in government or private sector, they use GIS for their various purposes. But unfortunately, the GIS is not fully utilized, only fully utilized in handful of organizations. The most other organizations use these GIS techniques and tools for simply making maps sometimes, just to visualize their final products. But the strongest side of GIS is the analysis part, the modeling part, which is not used. So what I can simply say is GIS is underutilized in Sri Lanka. So when it comes to the research, yes, I clearly understand the GIS, these researchers, they are doing a good job, even though the doing GIS, exactly GIS research is very challenging. If you are trying to do GIS research, we have to look for developing new theories, maybe pushing the existing boundaries little further, which is a very hard work. What mainly these people are doing is they are using this GIS as a tool for their research, maybe testing their hypotheses or maybe proving their plan work or the testing case is true. In that way, the GIS is they are using as a tool, maybe sometimes visualization tool. In here, we have much work to do. We have to use GIS in more and more in a depth way. So we can prove and we can get the benefit of this GIS, maybe to modeling part sometimes, also visualization purposes and preparing final output. That is all right. But we have much things to do with GIS, because in these days, the GeoAI side of things, the GIS tools, the GIS products like S3 comes up with, they are very advanced. They have very advanced capabilities. They have a lot of tools what we are not using. If we can use these old tools and techniques, maybe the system in a fully fledged way, we can come up with smart findings. Our outcomes will be very productive. So we have to use lots and we have to apply these tools and techniques for our all the research purposes. So I think I have talked enough, covering most of the important areas of using GIS in Sri Lanka. Maybe it's in education in brief way. And I thank you very much for listening. And I wish everyone a successful series of workshops. There are 2 workshops to be done in next 24th and 25th. So I invite everyone to join to these workshops as well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir. So herewith we conclude the inauguration ceremony of Pre-Geo Week, and we will hand over the session to GIS Solutions Private Limited to continue the workshop here onwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us for this wonderful workshop. I'm Supun Sirivardhana from GIS Solutions, and with me and my colleagues in the GIS Solutions, we are conducting this session. So first, I would like to thank everyone, especially Dr. Saman Koswatha and all the administration of the University of Sabaragamuwa for inviting us for this kind of important session for the GIS community of Sri Lanka, not only for Sri Lankans, also the other ones can participate, kind of a virtual event. So we'll start the session now. Okay, hope you can see my screen. Okay, so we can conduct this course actually kind of an interactive way. So if you have questions in between our sessions, I would always give you time to ask questions, and we can conduct the session in kind of an interactive way. Right, okay. So for this technical session, actually, 2 technical people conducting from the GIS Solutions, actually, myself, I'm Supun Sirivardhana, and also Saman Mali Mathrarachchi, both of us working on this session to do various activities during the workshop. Okay, first of all, I think you have already got some idea about our company and our industry domain. So actually, we are GIS Solutions Private Limited, and we are working as the sole authorized distributor for Environmental System Research Institute, S3, the developer of Arcgis. Actually, S3 is kind of a global company. I think the market leader of the GIS domain in the world, especially in the software side. They have a special feature. Actually, they have a large revenue, but they always put 30% like revenue back into the research and development. So every year they are innovating something or giving some kind of a new product for the market, or update, or kind of a new thing for the market. So this one especially this Arcgis Online, every 3 months, it is getting certain updates. So I have started it from 2014. Every year I have seen a massive improvement of that particular Webgis platform. So today we are going to learn about the things of that particular Webgis platform called Arcgis Online. Okay, I think most of you have maybe used ArcGIS. Right. So here there's a kind of ecosystem inside this ArcGIS now. It is not just a kind of an isolated GIS component. That means only for desktop use. But most of the cases, we are limited to this desktop environment. The desktop means maybe you are having a software in your computer or your especially in your PC or laptop, and you are working in an isolated environment. So that is the traditional way of working in GIS. But nowadays, it has changed because everything can be connected through a particular way. So that medium we can introduce as WebGIS. So this word WebGIS, you can feel that it is related to internet or it is related to web, kind of a connectivity there. So from desktop GIS, we can connect with WebGIS systems. In ArcGIS platform, we call this a web portal. Web portal, the concept is you can have different types of web-based items. But maybe those things coming out from a desktop. That means imagine you are doing an analysis. Maybe you are working with kind of a GIS related or data collection work, right? So imagine you are collecting important field locations, some locations in the field. Maybe you want to share that locations to another party, or maybe you are from the field office and you need to share the information to the head office. That kind of scenario. So there should be a mechanism to share that details. So WebGIS can be used as a medium to share the information. And also there are different ways of representing data. Not only just having kind of a web map or having just a kind of a printed map, you can have everything in the web-based environment. So we are going to learn about these things by using some interactive tools in ArcGIS. So this concept, web portal concept, is the new concept. And there are not only the single web portal, sometimes there can be several web portals together. Right. Okay. So in ArcGIS, we are working in different ways to have information. One mechanism is kind of system of records. The system of records, the meaning is you can have information or you can collect details, you can develop databases on geographic locations, point, line, polygonal data, anything which you need to record. Then without just having data, it can do various things. So it can do various analysis. Then it becomes kind of a system of insight. Insight means you can drill into the data, you can identify patterns, and you can get various decision-making tools from them. Then we can move into the system of engagement. Engagement means nowadays, GIS is not just kind of an isolated thing. Earlier, actually, GIS departments working in kind of an isolated environment, but nowadays, there are a lot of other departments in an organization required GIS facilities. Maybe IT systems like to integrate with GIS. So there are plenty of demand for these integrations. So those things, we call that system of engagement. Okay, so the WebGIS, there's kind of an evolution. But before that, we have to get some understanding about WebGIS. So I will okay. So there are theoretical things related to WebGIS also. So before going into the deeper things, we just need to get some understanding about the theoretical things. So this is kind of an overview about WebGIS. So there are two ends. One end is kind of a server end. The other end is client end. And it is kind of way of sharing information, sharing geographic information through the web or through the internet, maybe a different type of connectivity. So that is we call WebGIS. So I always take this example to explain a simple architecture of the WebGIS. So you can see two sides. One side you can see server. Actually, the server means kind of a high-end hardware. Maybe some of you are not knowing about those things. High-end kind of hardware. It's powerful more than your general PC. So there can be one server or multiple servers, or maybe thousands of servers. There are ecosystems, IT ecosystems like that. Then client side, we are working. So we are working in the client side. So if you are having a web browser or a mobile app, if you are trying to reach a particular website, actually you are a client. You are putting a request. So imagine you want to access the University of Sabaragama website, official website. So you are maybe using a web browser and trying to access the website. But somewhere else, maybe from university premises, maybe from another premises, there should be a document, maybe HTML-based document. You need to load, or your browser will be loaded, and you can interactively work with that. But somewhere else it is stored. We call that is hosted somewhere. So there should be two ends. Even when we are accessing different platforms like Facebook, things like that, we are accessing a service like that way. But for WebGIS purposes, we need to have several IT-related components. So there should be operating systems, maybe the Windows-based operating systems, maybe the open source-based, like Linux kind of operating systems we can use. And on top of that, there can be several software. One component, actually, very important one, there should be a special type of database. What is this special database? Usually in Sri Lanka, or the most of the people describing maybe an Excel table as a database. But that is not a database, it's just a table. Database means you may have several amount of tables. And in between these tables, there are relationships. There are different queries. There are a lot of other things. So this type of databases actually in general day-to-day life we are dealing with. Actually, if you are visiting a particular bank, if you are doing transactions, actually your transactions are recorded in databases, and there are different ways of keeping your information secure. So there are things like that. So we call this type of databases relational database management systems. There are different products. In Microsoft, there's a product called SQL Server. There's a product called Oracle. Then IBM DB2, likewise, there are different products. And also open source, the PostgreSQL, likewise, there are different databases. So there should be a database in place. Then there's a special software component called GIS server. So usually you have worked in GIS desktop software. What is this server software? Actually, it is helping us to give the certain facilities in GIS into the web environment. For example, maybe you have some idea about, maybe you have already using coordinate systems, measuring, putting a location in the particular place. So that's a capability in GIS, inherited thing in GIS. So that kind of facility, if you want to give into a web environment or a particular application, we need to have a GIS server. So that's a special software. Then to give everything together, there should be some other components like web server. Web server means kind of components to give or share the web environment. So that is called a web server. There are in Windows, there's a web server called IIS. In open source, there are Apache, Tomcat kind of, there are different web servers. So Arcgis can be also used with both integrated with commercial databases or even open source databases and also the web servers. And not only these things, there should be several other things when it comes to a real implementation. We have to think about the security side, IT, the maintenance side, the infrastructure, in-house resource person. There are several things to implement a WebGIS system in a particular organization. So in Sri Lanka, there are many organizations, especially in the government sector, they are having this type of in-house WebGIS systems. They are working, they are keeping their data. The best example, one of the pioneer organizations in Sri Lanka in WebGIS, especially the survey department, they are having kind of an in-house sophisticated WebGIS system to handle their surveying data into a centralized location. Okay, so now this is very complex. In-house system, you need to have several components together. But nowadays, actually it is not just a new trend now. Everything is not in your premises. Maybe certain other place, you are taking those services. So like you are using a Dropbox or Google Drive, you are storing information in another place, but you are getting the service, you are accessing that, you are sharing that, you have sharing links, you can do various things. But you are not worrying about these hardware and the backend software, nothing. So you are only creating an account and working in that platform. Similarly, GIS can be used in kind of an cloud-based platform. So that is we call kind of an WebGIS system, which is not in your premises, which is away from your premises. So why we need this type of WebGIS? What is the requirement? So the traditional manner in an organization, there can be GIS professionals, GIS units, right? So these people need to do various, or they have to create various outputs to certain other departments. They have to present their data. They have to publish their data. They have to do various things. We can do that using printed manner, the hard copy outputs. That is kind of an important thing. But with the complexity of the today's world, we can't just share everything in the paper. You can feel that now with this pandemic, we have understood that kind of value of having virtual connectivity mechanisms. So likewise, WebGIS can be used to share information for many stakeholders. Sometimes within an organization, many different departments, maybe sometimes same ministry or same kind of organizational pool, we have to have shared information. So the GIS professionals can create maps and share through the web. Then it can be used by decision makers, maybe a knowledge worker, maybe even field level people. Why? What is the advantage? One advantage, imagine you are a decision maker. You are having very limited time. So you don't have so many things to, that means so many time to waste, right? So you have to always be in touch with your decisions. So that kind of person, if you try to teach a desktop software, right? If you try to install a desktop software in his tablet or smartphone, it is impossible. And also he don't have time. And even softwares cannot be installed in that type of environment. But if we can access a web browser based something for just to take the outputs, maybe the report, daily report in an interactive way. So imagine a health official, if we want to get the idea about the distribution of the COVID cases in a particular region, so he can get a clear idea. So that kind of activity, we cannot just use a desktop software. So very simply, we can share a link and they can access and see what kind of information is there. So that is good for a decision maker and also for another department in an organization. They are not specialized. Maybe they are not specialized in GIS, but they need to see some maps. If they want, it is every time if we try to print and give things, maybe it is not very feasible for them. Then if we can provide kind of a link-based URL or something, maybe they will use them. And also to the field level. So imagine you want to collect some data in a district. So you want to give some paper maps. So imagine your paper maps are based on the 1 to 50,000 sheets in Sri Lanka. Maybe for a district, for the whole country, there are 92 sheets. Maybe for a district, imagine you have like 10 to 15 or something like that sheets. If you are trying to give all the information to the field officers, it is very difficult to take it here and there. But if you can provide a mobile app, maybe online one or offline one with all these maps, maybe it will be very convenient, right? So it is more usable. So that kind of mechanism, we can use WebGIS. And also from the field, we are working in the field. We know we have to use very different application. We have to use different levels of accuracies. Maybe very high accurate things when it comes to the survey, and maybe some other things. Even the mobile devices can be used to collect information. And if we try to collect everything in a manual procedure, and when we visited the branch office, when we try to put the information via email or something, it is taking time. Actually, time is kind of a cost. So, but if from the field, if somebody can upload some information, maybe with the location. So imagine somebody is collecting the building locations, just a location, not a surveying level application, just a location. So maybe easily they can have a mobile device, maybe their own smartphone, with an application, they can collect information. Then it will come back to the centralized place when they submit it. So that way you can reduce the time of data entry. And also for citizens, when we try to engage citizens in certain applications, it is not very easy. So if we try to give very complex software environment for a citizen, for the public, they will not use that. But if you do something very simple, like a map kind of a thing, very simple, they will use and see what they can do. And they can engage and they can put information back. So there are very simplified tools. For that kind of work, we need WebGIS application. So there are different ways we can apply WebGIS. Then it's like a journey. Actually, sometimes we can't just jump into the WebGIS. Sometimes certain organizations have that kind of journey. Started from desktop GIS, then kind of server level GIS, then WebGIS, even distributed WebGIS kind of journey. But nowadays, some organizations, they are using WebGIS, maybe not very high level of user in the desktop GIS, but even though they can use WebGIS because it has a wide variety of flexibility to adapt in a particular way. So imagine an organization who are involved in product distribution, maybe a kind of sales activity. So even that kind of organization, we recently actually went through that kind of organization. They are collecting information. When they are selling certain goods in particular shop, they are keeping or they are tracking the geographic coordinates. The advantage is they can identify amount of sales they have conducted in that particular area. So very simply, they are capturing the GPS locations from a smartphone. Later, they can analyze them. So there are plenty of opportunities for WebGIS. Only thing, we have to think creatively, then we can do wonderful things. Okay, so without going into further information, I would like to go into a little bit interactive thing. So let me share you a link first. So I would like to share you a link. So I want to give you kind of an experience about WebGIS. I hope you can access the chat window and you will be able to find a link. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can somebody identify this particular map? I think you all know this map. If you are in GIS, maybe you all have heard about this map. Can anyone answer? Okay, so before the centuries of the GIS birth, right? So like 1854, there was a doctor in London, and that period, like today, there was an outbreak, kind of an outbreak of cholera. So that particular incident, that time the GIS was not there, but this particular incident is very important. The reason is he has used a map for a particular decision-making work, decision supporting, as a decision supporting tool. So this map, it's a paper-based map, right? First, we will go through paper map. So here you can see the streets. Somebody has answered the streets. So here you can see he has demarcated, he just had maybe a pencil, maybe a paper map. He has demarcated the location of these patients, the reportings, deaths. So here you can see the bars. He's a cartographer. He's not a very high-level cartographer, but even though what he has done, he has draw some bars. If there are plenty of depths in a particular place, he has actually created many bars or many small lines on the map. So this is the traditional map, right? So we always use this for teaching GIS. Before going into the GIS things, when it comes to the maps and decision supporting power of maps, we use these incidents. So what he has identified, after mapping everything, he has identified the pattern. And he has identified there's a water pump which has some dirty water giving this whole issue, the problem. Then he has identified the source of that problem, some kind of a waste outage, waste disposal into the Thames River. So it's a wonderful incident, but even though it's a sad situation, but it's a wonderful incident when it comes to the application of a GIS concept. So the decision supporting power. So now we are learning about Webgis, and I'm talking about the historical incident. So here you can see a web map regarding the same thing recreated for teaching students. So this is a teaching tool now. So at the background, you can see the map of the famous Dr. John Snow. On top of that, you will find the water pumps layer and also the incidents. The incidents are there. So you can see the incidents, right? Different cases. So when you click on a point, you will find some attributes. So we call this a pop-up window. So actually, WebGIS, in the simple manner, we can use to educate people. So imagine you are teaching GIS or geography or any other related subject which highlights the importance of maps, maybe the surveying related subjects. This kind of an interactive tool can be used as a teaching aid for your work. So it is the simple way of using WebGIS for a general public, students. So this kind of web application, you can't see many complex things. It is just opened in a web browser, just through a link. Just through a link. And some layers. In the left-hand side, you can see some layers. So anyone can click and turn off and turn on. And this area, you can see a simple map. When you click on any kind of point or the dot, you can get the kind of details. So when you zoomed in this case, so here you can see a bookmark also. So here you can see kind of a water pump. So this one is the problematic water pump. So that era, there were a lot of deaths. Actually, the exact reason was unknown. People has thought that this disease has a kind of airborne disease. They didn't have certain clues about this particular incident. So that type of faraway history, they have used maps and done a good job. So nowadays, actually, we have a lot of tools, a lot of techniques, but still we are not in that level. So we can think about how we can share information. So if we can share information, then it will be very important. So I would like to go into another GIS application from the World Health Organization. So World Health Organization, GIS Center for Health, you will find some applications. So I will open two of them. So just to get some understanding about WebGIS, the power of WebGIS. So this is kind of a document, right? We call this a story map. So it can be created using Arcgis Online. So this is, you can see directly storymaps.arcgis.com. So that is the building block of this particular application. So what is it about? The cutting edge of GIS technologies for COVID-19 vaccine delivery. So I will copy this. And also I will share into your chat pane. You can access the same application. Right. So it is with some pictures, text, and certain things are highlighted. And also it is having maps. Those maps are not static pictures. So you can zoom in, you can get some information. We call this a pop-up. So it's a kind of an interactive application. For creating this type of interactive applications, we can use WebGIS technology. So what is it about? It is about the mapping of elderly population, the mapping of high-risk areas. So it is not a Sri Lankan application, but you can see wonderful concepts here. Then kind of focused vaccination programs, focused programs for vaccination. So GIS can be used as a very effective tool. And also some part of the world, it has been used. So it is about a story map. You can read it leisurely. So I will close this now. Right. So give me a second. Right. Okay. So I will share another one. Okay, I will share my screen again. Okay. So don't be afraid, right? So this is about another application, a report, right? So preventable snake bite deaths, right? So these days we are having a lot of health related issues. That's why I have taken another one. So in some parts of the world, when there are snake bites, so there are a lot of issues. Maybe sometimes if they can immediately visit to a particular center or particular place to get the antivenom to treat the person, then there are kind of preventable deaths. There are deaths happening, but if the distribution of the medical facilities or the antivenoms are available, the deaths can be reduced. So that has been mapped through the GIS. So some part of the India, they have reported a large amount of deaths. So due to various, these areas in the world, there are, this issue is very high. So you can see whole document with that information and also the distribution. So it is telling about the importance of mapping the distribution of the kind of this kind of dangerous species, right? And also the distribution of the antivenoms can be planned, or the maps can fill when you map that, right? So the whole story map is related to that kind of incident. So especially highlighting in Sri Lanka also, I think we have this particular species. So they're very limited time sometimes to, if we can't reach the hospital. So that kind of related, how GIS can be used for prevent or protect people, right? So that kind of application is here. So I would like to share that even the routes can be mapped like this. So this whole application I'm quickly navigating. And also there's a case study of a story kind of thing, whole application. So this can be an interesting thing for a public user, right? Public user, maybe not a very specialized person in GIS, but for a simple person, they can read and understand this. And the whole thing is filled with Webgis components here and there, pictures and other things. So I would like to share this one also into the chat window. Like this way. Okay. So we have just used some of the WebGIS outputs now. So you can get the idea. The first idea I want to give you here, it is easy for handling, right? Any user can access through a link, maybe a mobile app or something like that. Then they can get the information. So it's a good way of sharing information or your work, maybe your plans, different things. Even I have seen certain people presenting their research work through this kind of story maps. So it's an interesting application, fully based on WebGIS. Okay. Right. So I will go back to some slides. First, I will share the screen again. Okay. So in ArcGIS, we are having different WebGIS models. One model, we can have WebGIS, maybe the maps published or created in the desktop environment can be published into an in-house WebGIS system called Arcgis Enterprise or Arcgis server-based WebGIS system. Why we are using this type of model? What is the reason? The reason is sometimes some organizations, they wanted to have their information inside their premises. Sometimes they have sensitive data. Sometimes their organization policy they are working on, they can't share data in the outside places. And also sometimes they are having huge amount of bulk amount of data. They are doing a lot of storage related, processing related things. That type of scenarios, we encourage those users to use in-house WebGIS systems because we have to align with their policy. And also sometimes their data storage is very high. If we are using a cloud platform, maybe we have to pay for the services. When it comes to a very huge amount of storage, then storage can be a huge cost. That kind of organizations, we are encouraging them to use kind of in-house WebGIS system based on the enterprise platforms of the Arcgis. So there are several organizations already in Sri Lanka in this particular platform. But some cases, some organizations, maybe they are not having in-house facilities like dedicated IT people, dedicated servers, infrastructure, maybe not in their premises. That type of people we are trying, or we are promoting, or sometimes they are also like to come to that kind of cloud-based or kind of account which they can create quickly. Then the infrastructure is hosted somewhere else, but they can even do the services. They can work with them. So two different models. But depending on the requirement of the customer, we can have several other models. Sometimes whole thing in the internal domain we can use. So today we are trying to learn about Arcgis Online. What is this Arcgis Online? So it is actually the S3's cloud platform. Actually, it is not just the S3 platform, S3 cloud platform. There are several the leading cloud platforms in the world. The Amazon clouds, Microsoft Azure cloud, and also S3 on cloud premises, together having this particular environment. Actually, this one contains maybe thousands of Arcgis enterprise together, and also very sophisticated. There's a thing like this. If something happened to a server, there should be another one upping or giving or hosting the services. Kind of a disaster recovery mechanism. We call that DR. So there are plenty of disaster recovery methods because there are different cloud platforms, different places of distribution, not the same place. It's a very complex architecture behind the scene. But in front of that, actually, a few minutes ago, we accessed that Jon Snow map recreated in a Webgis platform. Backend, there can be many servers helping us to having this map. But front end, we are as clients, we can just access and work in that particular map. Or you can teach someone else the GIS facilities or the decision-making power of GIS using those links. Okay. So anyone can access Arcgis Online. It's kind of an URL base or the link, or you can search in the web. You can find out the home page, the product page of the Arcgis Online. So we are going to access that first. And then there are different types of accounts. So this platform, we have to create kind of an account. Even without creating an account, we can do certain things. We can do certain level of mapping. But through an account, we can do some more things. One account means a public account. Even from your FB or Google account, you can create this public account. It's a free component. So anyone who interested in GIS, WebGIS, they can create this free account and explore about the WebGIS facilities. So that is called a public account. But there are limitations. There's a limitation of 2 GB capacity in a particular public account. And there's a commercial account, right? Commercial account, you are having Arcgis Online, and there are many other apps like dashboards, data collection field apps, kind of things. And universities and research organizations, there are special bundled online accounts, like 50, 100 accounts for their purposes. So there are plenty of learning options for students for these accounts. And there are many live users in Sri Lanka and many parts of the world using the WebGIS. Okay. So it's if you have a public account, it will be like this. So you will have a kind of an URL and you can access the home page of that. Right. So it have the interactive capabilities. So we have already seen that it is an interactive thing. It is an interactive thing. You can zoom in here, zoom out. When you click on a web map, you can get a pop-up. Pop-up means a kind of a window, right? Actually, it's a kind of a window built using HTML, JavaScript, these things, but interactive, you can access that, right? So in this type of Arcgis Online, there can be users. So that means it works like a user login system. So imagine your organization having an Arcgis Online account. So if you are a user of that, you can have username and password to log into the system. So imagine you are having many users in your organization. You can group them. Why we are grouping them? Maybe certain tasks are assigned to certain groups. Maybe certain departments. Maybe sometimes data creators. But sometimes only the viewers. That means they don't need any facility for creating data, just they want to visualize something. So there can be different types of users. We can grant privileges based on the users. We can assign them to different groups. Then content, maps. We have just explored the web map, that Jon Snow map. Or we have explored that story map regarding the vaccine distributions. So that kind of content, those things we call content, can be shared, maybe within a group, maybe within the organization, maybe for the public. So there can be different levels of sharing information based on the sensitivity of the data. Some data, maybe you are not sharing, you are only keeping with your account. So that is also possible. So these contents are available, but it can be connected with various others. For example, imagine you having Arcgis Online account, but you need a satellite imagery service from somewhere else. Maybe as a background layer. But it may be a heavy layer, so you can have that in another location, maybe an Arcgis enterprise location, or maybe a OGC related web service. Then it can be accessed through this particular platform. So that's another way of interacting information. And different devices can be connected. And sometimes the applications like Excel, inside the Excel, you can create maps using this Arcgis Online features. So there are facilities like that. There are plugins for Excel, then Excel can create maps by its own. So likewise, there are different ways of integrating, and sometimes some people want to have totally customized applications without just using this kind of platform. They want to have their own applications built from maybe open source platforms, maybe using web programming languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and many other things. Then maybe through particular API, maybe they can access Arcgis Online information or write information back to the Arcgis Online. That kind of openly integrated facilities are there. So that is kind of advanced side in the platform. So however, it's kind of a WebGIS account. We can log in and work in there. So we have already discussed the importance of it. Then the medium. Here there's a main medium called web maps. So this Jon Snow example, that map we call the web map, right? It's a web map, but it's the primary element. Using the web map, you can build various applications on top of that. So that is how it works. There's a workflow of that. We can add data into a web map, we can save it, then we can go and think about an application. Maybe a dashboard. Different applications are there. Right. So So the ultimate goal is to reach into many devices, many users, right? So there are apps, different apps connected to this platform. There are field apps, kind of office related apps, public related apps like story maps. So the field related apps, there are some data collection apps like Collector. There's another new one called Field Maps, which can be used to collect information, point, line, polygon data from the field. That's one application. Another one is we called a form-based application. So that is called the Survey 123 in Arcgis platform. So the paper forms can be redesigned in a digital manner. Then you can collect information like you are doing a questionnaire survey. So they can have drop downs and different questions, and also the GPS location and photographs. You can quickly take a photo from your mobile device and upload that into the questionnaire. So that kind of integrations are there. And also there are dashboards kind of things which we can use for monitoring data. So sometimes when we are collecting data from this type of application, we have to monitor it from another thing, maybe another application. So one of the monitoring applications I would like to show you here, this one. So it is one of the most used Webgis application in the world in last year, right? Actually, because this was in like April, actually this year also, this April, that period, especially the first wave of the COVID, I think in the last year, that period, this was heavily used, like billions of requests for a day, right? This was actually created from a university, Johns Hopkins University, using a technology in the ArcGIS dashboards. So this is kind of an interactive tool. I can share the link of that. So that one, actually the building block is web map. So the middle of the application, you can see a map. So that is a web map, but different components are connected to this web map. Then it has become a dashboard. So why it is there? They are collecting the information about COVID cases, deaths, cases from the whole world. It's kind of a summary about whole world. So this screenshot's actually taken some time back. Now it is like 5 million deaths, above 5 million deaths in the whole world. So when you go to this application, you can see the information. So here we can see it's a kind of a monitoring tool. Monitoring tool means kind of a visualization tool. So I will share that back to the chat window. So you can access and see. Okay, so we have discussed a lot of things, a lot of basic things related to WebGIS. So I would like to have a little bit kind of an interactive session now. So I would like to share kind of a file for you, right? Small file. So hope you can access that. It's a CSV file. It's a comma delimited file, right? Okay. So I will share that dashboard first. So we will discuss this dashboard when it comes to the dashboard session. We will discuss that in detail. So you can see various places in the world. In the middle, you can see interactive map. So there are different indicators. Here you can see 5 million, more than 5 million deaths now in the whole world due to this pandemic. So there are different summaries of the data. When you click on a particular one, it is zoomed to a particular place and it is summarizing data according to that. When I click US, then it is summarizing data. So it has that interactivity, right? For this particular application, whole world, there are different sources of information. Some of them are fully automated information. Some information actually manually entered, some information semi-automated. Likewise, information coming to this dashboard. So it's a easy mechanism to share this dashboard for a decision maker to get the understanding about the situation in the whole world. Right. Okay. So with that, I'll close that. Then I would like to go to the home page of Arcgis Online. So I will send you kind of a URL. So you all can access this website like this way. Okay, and also I have shared kind of a CSV file into the chat window. You can try that file. And let's see. So this window, it's totally a web browser, right? There's nothing else. So this, on the top of the window, you will find a tab called Map. We can just click that one and see. Then it will load a map, right? It's not the desktop software you have used. It's a different environment, right? It's a different environment, totally based on web. So we are reaching to a building block now. Building block means kind of an initial map. Before going into a very complex applications in the WebGIS, we can start from a smaller thing. So still we don't need anything. We don't need to create an account here. We can just access this as a public user, right? So if you want to create an account only, you need to click this sign in and you can go to the account creating workflow. In this case, you don't need to click that. You can click this button. The right hand corner, you are having another button called Open in Map Selector. You can click the Map Viewer Classic. So that is kind of a very simple tool. Just you can try and learn about this WebGIS concept. A very simple tool. So here, there are several sections. You can see the large section or the large area. We called it a data view. In GIS, we should have a visualization area. Maps should be visualized in a particular way. So this area is good for that particular work. And on top of the window, you will find some tools, but there are no plenty of things. On the left-hand side in this map viewer, you will find like the content area, table of content type of panel. And also you will find some tools here. You can see plus mark and minus mark. That means you can zoom in, zoom out. And if you have a scroll button in your mouse or touchpad even, you can zoom in, zoom out. So I will go back to my right-hand side. In this map viewer, there's a button called Modify Map. Modify Map. I'm clicking on that. Okay. So what I will do here, I would like to share my window. All screen I have shared now. So here you can see this shared file. Some details about some locations, some hospital locations. So here you can see a basic Excel, a very basic thing, an Excel sheet. So anyone can actually create an Excel sheet in an organization. We are heavily using Excel to create different data tables. So imagine you have collected some information, maybe related to your research work, maybe related to your organizational work. You are having a database, and also you have some information, some coordinates collected with you. How to collect coordinates like this? One option, actually, you can use a mobile app, maybe a mobile device, and you can grab the coordinate even from a public map like Google Map kind of thing. If you tap your finger for a little while, it will show you latitude and longitude. It's a general way. But in a professional manner, maybe you are having GPS device, just a device called GPS receiver. That kind of receiver, maybe you have collected some information. Maybe written down in a paper or this type of Excel sheet. There are different conversion methods, but I'm not going to that. However, so imagine you are having a day-to-day database. This is just a simple one database. Maybe in this case, we can add more information like number of ICU beds, number of facilities in these locations, and also the available number of wards. Kind of columns can be added here and there. There can be more information added into this table, right? Here only few columns. But important thing, we should have the location details. Maybe this type of latitude, longitude information. Okay. So what we can do now? So I will not, actually, if you want to create or if you want to convert an Excel sheet into CSV, normally if you can enter it in an Excel, but if you want to create a CSV file, it's very simple. You give as that file. Instead of Excel, you have to select comma delimited. We call that CSV format, comma delimited form. So after having an Excel sheet, you can convert that into a CSV file. So that way you can, if you have some coordinates, if you have table, then we can easily create a CSV file. So imagine your CSV file is here. I want to map that file in this web browser environment, map viewer environment. So we can just drag and drop this file. You can drag and drop this file. When you drag and drop the file, so it will ask you a question. There should be something to access the location, or create the location. So if you have the addresses, in some countries there are address geocoding mechanisms. That means even from a postal address, it can locate a point. That facility is available in certain countries. The reason is their address system is very regular, the very proper way. But in Sri Lanka, it is little bit difficult to geocode. Our addresses are a little bit confused here and the numbers are not in a regular way. Then, for example, if you take a street, maybe the first house in the street should have the number 1, then the second. Likewise, it should have a sequence. If there are different numbers, you have to create a different model to locate that type of addresses. But these cases, we are not focusing on addresses. Right. Okay. So in this case, we have to select and show that the coordinate columns. So here we can see X and Y. The X column, it should be the longitude column. Then Y should be the latitude column. So we have to be careful here. So if you're confused with latitude and longitudes, it can map in a different part. If you mixed up these two, it will map, but it will be mapped in a different parts of the world. So in this case, we are using geographical coordinates, not the projected coordinates. In Sri Lanka, we are using kind of a geographical coordinate system here. Latitude, longitudes, X and Y select. Then we can just click and add this as a layer. Add this as a layer. So immediately you can see this type of window, right? So it is having some classification of the data, but without having that classification, this panel is giving us to change the style. Change the style. So this case, this map viewer is acting as a software now. So this type of software we call software as a service. We haven't installed this map viewer. We are accessing this as a service. So this type of model we call software as a service. It is kind of a cloud-based service model. Right. Here, there are different styling options. I will select that bottom one called location single symbol. So there are very simple words are there. You can select that option. Then it is giving options. Options mean you can go and change further things. You can click on that. Then it is giving us some information about this symbol, the color of the symbol and the shape of that, and also transparency, and also visibility range. Visibility range means you can hide certain information. When you zoomed only, you can see that. That means if you have so many point locations, like maybe the meters, the consumer meters in a water board, that kind of huge point data set, actually when you zoomed in only, you need to see that. So that kind of locations, we are using this visibility scales, visibility range. When you zoomed in only, you will see the particular layer. It is hidden. It is good for the performance of our application. So likewise, there are transparency, like different settings. So I am clicking on this symbol. Then you can find different symbol styles. You can select one of the styles and then you can change the symbol size. Like this way. like this. So if you want to have a different style, there are other options also. This is called shapes. In this drop down, you will find different types of symbols. So I would like to mention here in this Webgis activities, maybe you will not get the very high-end cartographic level symbols. So actually for cartographic purposes, special cartographic purposes, in ArcGIS there are specialized cartographic tools. If you take aeronautical industry, there are aeronautical charts. Nautical industries, marine related industries, there are marine charts. And special cartographic purposes, there are production mapping kind of special software extensions for ArcMap or the ArcGIS Pro. Those things are used in the main software. When we are creating a map book or atlas, there are plenty of transparency, annotation, kind of very high-end cartography. So you can have a river with one end with the large, same line, one end with a large representation and the other line, the stream starting point in a very thin line. Very high-end cartography is there, but that is in the desktop software environment. Web environment, you may not have all the cartographic features, but the purpose is different here. The purpose is to address maybe general crowd, maybe quick users who needs the understanding of the symbol. So then we can have this type of symbols, but if required, you can do certain modifications, right? So there are basic shapes like this. So if you have a basic shape, you can change the fill color. And transparency can be adjusted like this. So I have just selected this option from the drop down, basic. Then you can change the fill color and the outline. Fill outline can be changed. Like this way. So based on your requirement, you can have different types of symbols, but in this case, you have to remember, you will have certain level of customization. So I would like to use something like this. Fill color, maybe not very clear. Let's see. Yes, maybe much better, right? Okay. So after doing changes, we can press OK. And again, we have to say done. Now you have kind of a map with some distribution of the hospitals. Here, if you click on a particular one, you will find a window. This window we call a pop-up window, right? So this can be customized. You can do various things. You can add pictures at the bottom. It can be further customized. Okay. So now we can see this content area with layer, and turn on the layer. And this top, the heading area, you will find some buttons. Some of you may not have this button. If you don't have, just click here. There's a button earlier called Modify Map. When you click it only, you will have this option. Then actually we can change this background map. So we call this layer, it's kind of a feature layer, kind of an operational layer on top of the base map. Base map means kind of a background map. Here you can see a map called topography. This is a topographic map, background. So there's a base map selector here. You can change the base map. Like this way, you can have maybe imagery map or imagery with labels, or some kind of a map like this, little bit a different one, kind of a dark gray kind of map. So there are different maps. So according to your representation, according to the message you want to say to somebody, we have to have these symbols and background maps. So imagine you are trying to address a simple crowd. Then the map should be very simple, right? So if somebody wants to look at the satellite images, kind of a backdrop, then we have to select kind of an image map. So this case, it is a very simple map. I just used this type of simple environment. Okay. Then what else we can do? Actually, this map, right? This one, this layer is having some additional features. So like desktop software, when we right click and go to the properties, here it is having some simple properties. So if you click on this table, it will load the table like this. So it's the Excel or the CSV which we have loaded. So now it is acting as an attribute table. Then you can see some other buttons. If you click this one, so it is the button with change in the style. So we have selected location single symbol. So if you want to change it again, you can change it again by going into that like this way. I have to say done. Then there are some other options here. And also you can see 3 dots. That means there are more options. So I will go to this more options. So here you can see zoom to layer. So you can zoom into this layer. If you are a desktop software user, you know this functionality. Actually, it is zooming to a particular extent. That means if your layer is distributed in a particular extent, kind of an XY frame, it will zoom into that extent, right? In this case, if we had some hospital details in this peninsula area also, if I have done that part, collected some information there, then it should zoom into that particular extent. But it has only limited here because of the extent of this layer. But we can change this according to our requirement like this way. Then what else we can do? In this more options, you can set the transparency of the layer and also visibility range. So visibility range is very important when you have kind of an any map. So if I reduce this visibility range, I can't see this layer. Now I can't see this. Still I can't see. Maybe I have put very limited visibility range. Let's see. Now you can't see this layer, right? Now you can't see this. I think I have changed it. Now you can see this layer, right? So it can control the visualization of the whole layer. So if you zoomed in only, then it will come into the picture. So otherwise, the layer will be not loaded and you will be not able to see that, right? So that kind of things we do only we have a requirement. Yeah, I will reduce this, then you will see this in a clear manner. So now I can't see this. When you zoomed in, you can see. So that is the idea of visibility ranges. So it is good for not only for WebGIS, even desktop GIS. When you have very large data layers, depending on the different scales, here you can see the scale, right? Depending on different scales, you can have visibility ranges. So that facility is there. So I will change it, right? Then if required, you can remove the layer. Then there's an important thing for us, creating labels. Creating labels. So we can click and create labels. Here we can create a label, and so we can select the color for the label, right? So this background map is kind of a darker one. And also the labels, you can set this visibility scale again, only for labels. When you see a lot of labels crowded in a map, it is not very clear. So you can set that visibility scale to a particular level, then maybe much better. But when you zoom in only, you will see those labels, right? So we can decide how we want to position this label also, maybe at the bottom or this side. So we can think about how to position the labels also. Right. So like this way, we have done some changes to this web map. So I will press. Then what else we can do? Still, we haven't saved this just in a virtual environment. We grabs or we drag drop some data and we created this map. Here, what else we can do? When you click on this button, you will see some information, but this is not very nice with underscore and coordinates are given in a not in a nice manner, right? So here there's an option to modify this. It is called configure pop-up. Configure the pop-up. So there are different ways we can have a pop-up title. Title means something here. So I will select maybe this one, like this way. If required, you can do that, or otherwise you can say something like this. We'll just check whether it is working. Yes, now you can see something like this. Yes, I will go back to the configure pop-up. Here there's the option. After the pop-up title, you will find pop-up contents. That means this information. We can configure these attributes. So there are different ways of configuring this. Simply certain attributes we can hide. So imagine I don't want to show X and Y coordinates. Then we can hide. And also field name and field alias, two different items. Field name is something fixed in your table, the original field name. We can't change it. The field alias means something we can change. We can modify it. It's kind of a display name. So I want to remove this underscore here. So I can just delete and put a space. And also if required, you can turn on these things and name them as latitude and longitudes. You can change it here, the field alias. I will just do this only. Then we can say, oh. Then you can see a pop-up window with this information. Right. Much better details. Right. Okay. So now we have done some work. We have labeled, we have configured the pop-up. Now how we can share this map? How to share this map? Before sharing, we have to save it. So where it is going to be saved? That's the question. That's the question we are having. Where we have to save this? Actually, you can create an account for saving this. So there are different types of accounts I mentioned, but I would like you to use something called yes. So it's a trial account. There are different trials in Arcgis Online. So students can use a trial account called something called Learn Arcgis, right? So I would like to share that details. Let me share it first. Give me a second, I will share that. So I will put a link into your chat window. So basically you can use this one to learn the capabilities, because later sessions we will try to use survey 1, 2, 3 forms. For that kind of work, we need kind of an advanced account in Arcgis Online. Actually, you can create a trial from this one. So I will also mention that in this session, then it will be easy for you. So it's an education trial where you can put your first name, last name, email, and also you should confirm your email. Actually, valid email should be used. Then you can mention you're a student, higher educator, whatever the thing. Then you have to accept these conditions. You can read and see. Then submit this. Then what will happen into your email? There will be a link for activation. A link for activation. You can click on the link and set a password. Right? Then you will have an account to log in. Right? Account to log in. So that way you can create kind of an Arcgis online account. So when you have an account, you can sign in through username and password. So if you want to use a free account, there you can use FB or Google account and sign in and do that. So that's a different thing. It don't the public account don't have all the facilities like dashboards. Later on, you can create a public account and do some web maps can be created, and you can save web maps, which we have done today. You can work with the public account. Later on, you can have that. But for your training, you can have, for other sessions, you can have this Learn Arcgis one. And it is good for the students. There are exercises, lessons, even self-study can be done. There are many other things related to this Learn Arcgis. It is very interesting. you can check those things also. I would like to share that one with you. Okay. So after having that type of account, we can actually save our map. We can save it. Then it will ask that information. So in my case, I'm having an account. So I will use that first. So first we have to use the username. So like this way. So like this way, we have to enter username and password. Then we can sign in. Then what you will get here, you will get a place to enter the title for your web map. So I will say this is health facilities map. And we have to put a tag. Tag means a keyword. You can put keywords like this or specific keywords according to your work. That means the keyword can be used later to search this content. So if it is specific, then it will be very useful to find this content again and again. Searching options, it is good. So it's a kind of a metadata requirement. So metadata means the information about this data, about these items. So there are ISO level metadata pages here in our GIS platform also, standards. Here, just a simple thing called tags. So we can save this map. So that way we can save our maps inside a particular account called Arcgis Online. In the content area, you will find the details. Right. Okay. The saved items will be there in the content. So in this account, you will find this drop down, home, gallery, scene, notebooks. In this content area, you will find the saved item, this particular item. So the title has been changed now. Now what you can do, if you want to share this, you can click share and you can select different levels of sharing. So one level is public with everyone. In this case, within only our organization, maybe within different groups. So they can have like this. I will share with everyone. When you have the everyone option, you will get a link like this and Facebook, Twitter kind of options. And if required, you can embed this map in a website. So you will find an HTML code here, which you can copy and send to a web developer. They can embed this map in your website, right? So that is kind of a embedding thing. So I'm not going to embed this. I will just share again. It's everyone shared map. I can copy this link and immediately I can actually share this into your chat window like this. Then you should be able to access my map. So you will become clients because I have created map in another end. So you all become like clients to access this map, right? Okay. So that is about the introduction regarding this Arcgis Online part. So then I would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. So you may have different questions. I have conducted several things and also some hands-on experience. So you can try this. It is not difficult, right? Just try to use the browser and try to use that shared file, or you can create your own file with some coordinates. Just drag and drop. Finally, you can save it and share it with maybe your friend or someone else. And also, when you're sharing data, there are more options like creating web maps. Using this as a building block, there are options of creating applications. Applications means something beyond a web map. So there are applications like this. We call them template-based applications. So even in public accounts, there are some templates, different types of templates, like some templates like story maps, right? Story maps are there where you can create a simple story to present some information, right? So there are plenty of options. Later on, we will try to go into this dashboards level. So try to create maybe next 2 sessions, we will need that kind of learn ArcGIS account as your students. Then we will try to use some advanced options beyond here. Right. Okay. So now I would like to give you the opportunity to ask questions. So you can ask questions, and I would like to answer them and clarify certain things. Right. Okay. Even chat window, you can send details if possible. Questions. Okay, so I would like to give you some more information when it comes to a WebGIS system. So what are the things we have to think? Very first thing is you have to identify whether you are having a WebGIS system or not. The first thing is that, because if your organization doesn't want to have a WebGIS system, we don't need to use that. Maybe a very high-end cartographic organization, maybe their primary purpose is to have printed maps. So then you have that type of software platforms to perform that task. The important thing is to identify the requirement. Then imagine you are having that type of requirement. Then better to do a kind of a requirement analysis, requirement study. So imagine your organization is having maybe head office and 10 branch offices. You need to share information to the branch offices. So then you can use this option, and you can create kind of web applications and share with your branch people. maybe another organization is having a requirement of demonstrating certain information for the public. So that type of case, we have to use the technology according to that, right? There's an option called question asked here: how can we add the direction notation? I'm not sure about this direction thing. Maybe the north arrow or whatever the thing, or kind of route-based direction. So there are different things. If you take routes related direction kind of thing, I'm not sure about what is the exact direction you're asking here. So if you want to have north arrow kind of things, that is a different story. Normally we are using a desktop software to create kind of professional maps. Web map may be a simple user. Even direction can be identified, but then we have to have different application developed for that. And also there's another question, how we can have different things like open source integrated with kind of thing. So actually some WebGIS requirements, some organizations need that facility sometimes to have kind of front end developed in the open source platforms and back end sometimes from these platforms. That is also possible. Without just using the software as a service platform here, maybe some website, like developing website applications can be developed from the scratch by using coding in the open source platforms, then integrated these applications from the services from backend, maps from backend. There can be hybrid systems also. In Sri Lanka, there are systems like that. And I would like to show you one, maybe one or two cases. Yes. So here I will share my screen again to the web browser. So this is, I think you all know this organization, the Archaeology Department of Sri Lanka. This is their website, public website, right? And anyone can go to that website. That website, you will find a web portal here. This is based on Arcgis Online. Actually, the purpose of this portal is to give some understanding about their data collections, the sites around the country. So it does not contain all the information about sites. It will guide you about the distribution of the sites. So the requirement is to showcase certain level of information. So I would like to share this link, right? So even from the, I think I can share the original link of the website. At the bottom, you can identify that application. Right. So this is the one. So this is kind of a web portal here. This is the home page, and these things we call the items in the gallery. So this is kind of a standard architecture of a web portal. There can be different customized web portals also. Here, this is one of the applications which I have just opened. Very simple one. Maybe anyone can click on a particular site and get some information about that particular site. And there's a search window. You can change the background map, base map, like this way. And also if required to have a printout kind of thing. So it's a public facing one with very simple information. It doesn't contain every detail, but for very simple purposes, we can use them. And also there is another one here. It is a kind of a story map. We call that a story map journal. It's like a document. Actually, this is kind of a Word document just converted into a web application. So it's about the islands, the Delphi Island, some archaeological sites. So it's a document converted into an interactive story. So some photographs are there, locations, maps are integrated, and document related text. Even maybe within 20 minutes, if you have the locations, you can create this type of application. But your creativity is important. The creativity is important. When you have very creative things, you can create nice applications using them. So why we are having this type of, so when the customer requirement is straightforward, it's like to just visualize the information. So we can have this type of applications just to have the straightforward idea. But if I will show you another customer organization, just give me a second. So I think you all know this organization, the Survey Department of Sri Lanka, their public website. So this website, you will find again a public facing web application, Webgis application. That is not based on Arcgis Online. It is Arcgis enterprise-based web application. Right? There are several applications, I think, land information system. I think maybe they have changed. Yeah, same thing there. So actually this is related to the lands surveyed through the BIM survey project and search for a land. If you have that ID, then you can get it. These are polygons, polygonal data here. This is the final output of this system, right? Just for a public use. But in-house, in their environment, there are plenty of things happening. Actually, this from the surveying, when the actual measurements are gathered from the district office, they are having separate databases and collecting that information to the head office. There's a thing called versioning there. Versioning means different levels of user application, totally based on ArcGIS desktop versions, because one person can edit and the person above that can approve and do the changes to the next level. Then there's a kind of a workflow there, right? Then error corrections are there, topological errors, and a very kind of advanced GIS applying there for data cleaning purposes. And also they have automated certain things. They have a wonderful group of people who have done a lot of work by self-studying and with the technical support of us for actually from 1989 92-91 period, Esri is involved with survey department and supporting them. So that is one of the reasons of the important technology we have bring there, and they have mastered on that. They can do it certain things from their own. So that level, the WebGIS applications also very important, but this is final output you are looking at. Then there are very IT team dedicated for developing this application. This is kind of a customized one without not using the tools in the portal. They have used their own development applications, development skills. The IT team, they have come up with this kind of interface. But backend, there are a lot of things to have this output. And it's a nice way of combining desktop GIS and WebGIS together. So it's another application I would like to share. You all can visit that application through the internet, their main website. You will have several other applications related to WebGIS. Okay. Right. So again, it's organization. Their policies, their data should be available in the organization. So they use in-house WebGIS system to manage. Okay. So if you have any questions, I can answer. Actually, there's a question like this. If there is a storied building somewhere, we are interested, is it possible to draw a 3D model of the actual shape of the building using the software? Yes, this can be done in several ways. In Arcgis, there's a platform called Arcgis Indoors. Indoors can handle the flat level roof, different level of building information modeling. And also this can be integrated with 3D models, can be integrated from the Autodesk Revit. That kind of advanced 3D models can be integrated with ArcGIS and locate in the geographical space and have the building information separately. So that can be possible, but according to the detail level of the building, we have to, maybe sometimes we can use only ArcGIS platforms, or otherwise we can go into the structural design level software and import that files into the ArcGIS, and even we can have WebGIS after that. First part have to be completed in desktop level to clean and build the models. Then we can have outputs in the WebGIS. That is possible. Yeah. Yes, how to show a boundary on a web map, right? Yes, actually a boundary maybe so I will close these other applications. Yes, we can import the other layers, like different layers from this map view. One type is a shape file. A shape file may be grouped as a zip file, right? Can be imported here. Then normally a shapefile has these boundaries, the polygonal information, then it can be imported. That's a one way. The other one is we can publish, we can use a desktop GIS software like ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro and directly publish polygons or the boundary layers into the WebGIS platform. So after creating the layers in a GIS software, we can publish that into the web environment. So both ways, this is a simple method to just import the layer, but the advanced method is like survey department land parcels, they have published from ArcMap. So That is the advanced method. Yes, those questions are very good actually. Yes, actually, we have the opportunity to update or remove layers. Yes, that is possible. Since you have shared the web map, so imagine you want to add more layers, maybe polygonal layers, maybe more layers. After adding that, you have to save it. And again, you have to share it. Maybe if your layers are not shared, they can't access. So if you're having a public map, time to time you can do updates and have kind of an interactivity with them, the other users. Yes. So there are plenty of things related to this web map data publishing. So we won't be able to do everything within like 2 hours. So there are a lot of training options in the web. Also, there are free training options. And also in our organization, there are training options, and university level, there are trainings. So try to involve in those things and try to learn these things. Then try to apply that according to your organization. Not just use a product or software. First, understand. You have to build your skill to understand the WebGIS requirement. Do we need to have a WebGIS system? That is the first question. So if we need, what we are going to do? Are we going to present some information to the public? That way we have to think. So according to that, you have to select different software, different hardware, different people, and also you have to be trained according to that. So try to think about the sustainability of the application also. After creating a web application, maybe after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, how you are going to support them. So this archaeology application, it was started like 2015-16. So the initial thing was to train them to use certain level of GIS. Still, these days also we are doing a training for them. So continuous capacity building for a user. So that way you will have a sustainability from both ends, not only for a commercial party and also for the customer or the user organization, and try to have continuous things. Then it will be a very successful journey in WebGIS. Like survey department, initially they started like from 2014. Now they have in-house people to create their own application development. So we have only doing the supporting part. They are doing it their own. So that kind of capacity building also you should have to think about when we are implementing a sustainable WebGIS system. So very interesting area. Try to learn, and in future there will be a lot of WebGIS applications, and that will be very useful for the public level GIS usage. Okay, so with that, so I would like to conclude my session. Right. So I would like to conclude my session. Any other comments from the university?
Thank you very much, sir. Manvi, shall we wrap up the session?
Yes, sir. So thank you very much, GIS for sharing your invaluable knowledge. So please note that we will continue another session. 2 more sessions on 24th and 25th November. So stay tuned with us. So with that, let's wrap up the session. So thank you, stay safe, and goodbye.